Jury selection begins today in the trial of a man accused of choking another man to death on a subway train. That is former Marine Daniel Penny entering court today as protesters gathered outside. He is accused of killing former street performer Jordan Neely on an F train in Manhattan last May. Now, Penny's lawyers say their client acted in self-defense when Neely started acting erratically on the train. Penny is seen on video pinning Neely to the ground with the help of two other passengers and placing him in a chokehold for more than 3 minutes. The city's medical examiner ruled Neely's death a homicide caused by compression of the neck. Now, earlier this month, a judge denied motions from Penny's attorneys to suppress some of the evidence in the case. They had argued that police body camera footage should not be used, claiming police had no right to treat Penny as a criminal suspect because many of the statements he made were before he was read his rights. Penny is facing charges including second-degree manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide. Here with more insight on this case is Jeremy Saland, familiar face here on New York One. Great to have you here as always. So first, let's talk about the jury selection. What kind of jurors are the prosecution and the defense both looking for in a case where everybody has an opinion, at least an opinion on crime and subway safety?
It's certainly an emotionally charged type of a case, but you're looking really for two totally different people, which is not unexpected when you have a prosecution and a defense. But what you're probably looking for as the defense is someone who might be new to New York, someone whose mom and dad might be paying the rent. They're new to the big city, they're from Kansas, they're from Iowa, they're from Texas, they're a transplant who have not walked these streets frontward and backwards, where, for example, the prosecution may look for someone who has been done this many, many times. They've walked these streets at night. They know what it's like to be on a subway when someone's having an episode. They put their head down, look away, and go away. So very, very different people.
Right. And do you think this will be difficult on both sides, though, to find these jurors?
If you can find a jury for Donald Trump, you can find a jury for Daniel Penny. Again, the difference here is that emotionally charged, not that it wasn't for Donald Trump, but because there's such a race issue and at a time when people were concerned about being on the subways. But I do believe that ultimately they'll find a fair jury.
Really, the crux of this case lies in the question of, was Daniel Penny justified in what he did? Was there a real threat on that subway train? How are his lawyers going to present that case?
So it needs to be an imminent threat for here, maybe serious physical injury, not just something maybe possibly before you're coming into defense of yourself or another person. What are they going to do? Let's potentially hear from Daniel Penny to tell his story, but you're going to hear from witnesses, and those witnesses, in the hopes of the defense, you're going to elicit how frightened they were, and genuinely so, and feel for not just for an injury, but for their lives.
What about the criminal record of Jordan Neely? He was someone who was known to police, known to the city. How could that potentially play a role in all of this, if it is indeed allowed in court?
I think it should not play a role, because the question is not who Jordan Neely was prior to this incident and known to other people, law enforcement. In that moment in time, what did Daniel Penny know and why? And it's really, that's the behavior and the conduct, not whether he suffered from mental health issues or whether or not he was charged or convicted of crimes in the past. So I think the judge should limit that, if allowed at all.
Anything else that you could tell us about this case? Obviously, we're in the early stages, jury selection underway. Could this shape, cases in the future like this? Again, subway safety, as I said at the beginning, subway safety and whether or not something is going to escalate into a potentially deadly situation. It's not always easy to tell when you're on that train. So does this have potential to shape other cases like this?
Well, listen, we had Bernie Getz from long time ago, a very different case in this, although people sort of tie them together. People are on an edge, right or wrong. People are anxious and scared, but they shouldn't take law into their own hands, and they have to be rational in their decision. It's a reasonable person standard. No one can say what law enforcement is going to do, but no matter what here, this is a tragic result, and nobody wants that to happen.
All right, much more to come. Jeremy Saland, thank you so much as always.